Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise for the presentation of colors. Please rise for your presentation of colors by the volunteer ROTC.
Telegraph, out, and eight. Oh, arch, left turn, arch. Telegraph, out, present, help.
Can you see by the dawn's early light? Does anyone know where I can find Coach McLean's safety class? I'm sure I saw him or heard him around here somewhere. Anyhow. I'd say I will, yes. Well, good morning, and what an act to follow that was, because I know I am in the right place because I just followed the angelic voices. That was beautiful, y'all. Thank you. Well, my name is Eliza Smith, and I'm a junior here at Volunteer. For the past 2 years, I, along with my peers, have filled this room on many occasions. I've started my day here, chatting with friends, flipping through notes, or more realistically, scrambling through flashcards in last-minute cram sessions. And I've ended my day here, offering my voice as just one among a chorus of students filling the student section, united in pure jubilation upon witnessing that game-winning bucket. I now prepare for my 3rd year of filling this room and walking these halls, with the prayer that I can convince any spectators to my life's proceedings that I have it at least a little bit together, when in fact I'm merely taking it one day at a time. I stand before you incredibly humbled by the opportunity to speak here today. This is a room of true difference makers, so many of whom have made a direct impact on my own life. As I prepared my thoughts to share from the stage, I struggled to craft the words that would breathe life to my heart's great gratitude for all that you as educators do. I struggled not from a lack of words, but from an abundance. Thank you, Mr. Hickson, for the invitation to speak. I'd like to direct your attention to this photo on the screen. This black and white image is a treasure in my family. So much of it seems to be a relic of the past, a roster of that which is no more. A live Christmas tree, I mean, can't you just imagine the fire marshal's horror? A chalkboard with a meticulously handwritten grammar assignment. And in the left corner, a nativity scene in felt. But there in the center stands my grandmother, with a grin so welcoming that I can disregard my own bias for the most part, and objectively label it as simply radiant. As this picture demonstrates, I come from a long line of teachers, and despite the fact that, barring any major career switches, I plan to diverge from this trend, I am the proud recipient of this educational legacy's impact on my life. All my childhood, I've had a front row seat to the powerful impact of educators in our society. I've always felt a surge of pride whenever asked about my educator parents, for I witnessed the love they pour into every day on the job. In the midst of a particularly grueling testing season, I've marveled at the sheer endurance of the educator population. A great many of my friends are teachers' kids, and over the years, we have exchanged many a knowing look when outsiders fail to recognize the gravity of a teacher's role. You are the cornerstone upon which all other professions find their foundation. You cultivate a love of learning in the minds of the next generation, feeding their hunger for knowledge, acceptance, and belonging, a hunger that is found in the future engineers, artists, surgeons, welders, and leaders. But as significant as that role is, your truest impact cannot be seen in a great book or even in the success stories of those you have taught. Your truest impact is what goes unspoken and sometimes unnoticed. It is the gradual expansion of a student's smile from barely visible to beaming as he walks in the door each day. It is the realization of the young girl who never hears her name spoken in anything but anger, except when she is in school, that she is loved and accepted just as she is. It is the feeling of belonging and unconditional acceptance that engulfs the player whenever he is accepted into the huddle. As I discussed my ideas for this speech with my father, he noted an observation that I'd like to share with you today. He said, "Educators do more for kids by accident than the general public does on purpose." You will never know the full extent of your impact on the lives of students, and chances are that impact is scarcely found in the outlets you'd expect. A first grader may not appreciate a beautifully crafted flip chart, but she will remember her teacher's excitement when presenting it. Speaking from experience, a teenager is unlikely to be enthralled by a lesson on linear equations. But to a hormonal adolescent, a little validation for a problem well solved is sometimes exactly what's needed. A few months ago, my mother hosted a get-together with her friends, all of which are educators. In a true teacher fashion, the conversation gradually landed on school. But rather than discuss the latest shift in statewide standards or newest flexible seating options, this discussion focused on memories. I listened and participated in nostalgic glee as this educator roundtable recounted their most treasured memories from each year of schooling through the 12th grade. And as we shared our recollections, a common theme emerged. This group of teachers and teachers' kids did not reflect on lectures or lessons, PowerPoints or prompts. Although important, though these properties of the academic experience failed to top story time on the rug, class-wide lunch dates in the classroom. But what kids remember the most are the little things. And the little things done in love will be the most formative memories of them all. I'd like to invite you to take a pause and reflect on your own student careers. What stands out? What memories surface in particular? Is it an elaborate teacher-pay-teacher worthy foldable, which are amazing in their own right? Or is it a little thing? Teachers create environments that are ripe for learning without ever knowing they are doing so. By making school a place where students are encouraged to have fun, make mistakes, and grow, educators are inspiring students to show up and ready to learn. When that environment is fostered and grown and made accessible to every child, test scores will take care of themselves. Educators do more for kids on accident than the general public does on purpose. On the flip side, as my mom was quick to point out, those in the education biz are nothing if not intentional. Y'all are some of the most intentionally fun, engaging, and loving people a body will ever meet. Although many of teachers' greatest impacts are found in the little things, there's no shortage of greatness to be seen in the wildly elaborate and borderline overboard. You didn't hear that, Mother. Later today, many schools will host their back-to-school celebrations. To students, this marks the dreaded end of summer, and be forewarned, they are not happy campers. But to their parents, this event denotes the glorious transition of care from their exhausted hands to your impossibly eager ones. And by the time those children depart from your cleverly themed and well-decorated festivities, I'd say their excitement will mirror, if not exceed, that of their parents and guardians. I've had the joy of listening to my mom describe Sir Winslow Elementary's back-to-school dash, in her plans and the steps she and her co-workers have taken to achieve them. I have seen the astounding dedication of the educator demographic. You will stop at nothing to ensure that come Monday, students are welcomed into these halls and the halls of schools across Hawkins County, knowing that there is a place for them. It is this deliberate love and intentional care that makes standing before you today such a humbling experience. Now, let's return to this blast from the past and recognize that live Fraser firs decked out in garland are now seen as the potential fire hazards they are. But that doesn't stop educators from embracing the holiday season with less flammable alternatives. Chalkboards are in high demand at the upcoming Sir Winslow Museum, but schools have welcomed in the dawn of Promethean boards and box lights so as to give students every possible advantage in this technological world. Legislature may prohibit the explicit sharing of the nativity narrative in public schools, but the light that entered the world on that first Christmas still shines just as brightly in the words, actions, and love of Hawkins County teachers and staff. But where so much has changed, one thing remains, and that is the figure there in the very middle of the photo, whose smile lit up that classroom and does the same for this gymnasium. She is a mentor, an advisor, a friend. She's a teacher. There is in her a zealous fervor, the noble profession that she has dedicated so much of her life to. And looking out, I see that same zeal in each and every one of you. I'd like to close with a few words from author and activist Malala Yousafzai, whose respect for educators and the wisdom they impart drove her to speak out against the Taliban's prohibition on women's education in her home of Pakistan. She said, "Let us remember, one book, one pen, one child, and one teacher can change the world." Thank you for being that teacher. And when that child walks in the door next week and opens their book and clicks their pen, you will change their world. And in doing so, you will change the world. And boy, from where I stand, the world is looking bright. Hawkins County is looking bright. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. It's a privilege to be here. Wow, following Eliza Smith after that, and wonderful job the chorus has done. I'm in a very tough spot, so if I mess up, just bear with me. But welcome to Volunteer High School. It's glad to have everyone here, central office personnel, school board members, teachers, principals from every school in the county. It's wonderful to have you guys here. It's a great opportunity to host. Welcome a special guest. 20 years ago, I transferred to Hawkins County Schools, and I sat where you guys are now. And I was nervous, I was anxious about the upcoming school year. And if you'd have told me that day, 20 years later, I would be here welcoming everybody, especially wearing a Pineapple Pearl Jam shirt and my Adidas. I would have thought you're out of your mind. The staff and community surrounding the school, everyone here, thank you so much for your support and what your contribution. And welcome new teachers. We really want to take a moment to make all those new folks feel welcome. I think we've got a special presentation. Thank you. Again, welcome to the Hawkins County Schools family. Today it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. Jamie Winship has learned what it takes for individuals to discover the transformative power of living fearlessly in their true identity from decades of work bringing peaceful solutions to some of the world's highest conflict areas. After a distinguished career in law enforcement in the Metro DC area, Jamie had a unique opportunity to bring his identity-centered approach of transformation to the field of education. So let's welcome him to Volunteer High School.
Wow, that was fantastic. Really enjoyed that. Thank you. I hate following people that good. Wow, thanks for the Hawaii 5-0 break in between the two. I've never driven up in a parking lot where the band is playing Neil Diamond. That was, I was like, yeah, well done. It's like, wow, my generation. Beautiful. Fantastic. So I knew this was going to be good. It's an honor to be here with you. Wow. In the 18 minutes I have, I will not be able to say enough to encourage you and tell you the value that you are, not just to this county, but to the world. My wife and I are both longtime educators, And our teams that we worked on were actually sent as part of U.S. foreign policy. That's how powerful teachers are in the world. They can change policy in nations. You know this, but I think we forget it. The power that you have, the teachers have, what happens in that classroom. And so when teachers get discouraged or frustrated or go through a year like you did last year, and who knows what this one's going to be like, I just want to encourage you that it's worth it. And I know you know this, but I want to say it to you again. And it's an honor for me to stand with you. Just thinking about being here, I was thinking of my 2 teachers that really impacted. I had a lot in my life that did, that saved me probably from a life in prison. But 2, when I got into university, there were 2 professors I had that really influenced me. As I'm going to try and put this together in a narrative for you, a narrative form. And so when I was a criminal justice major because I wanted to be a police officer, so I went to university in the criminal justice program. And in my freshman year, as I was looking through the synopsis, the curriculum for the year, the class schedule, it was beautiful. It was like, constitutional law and all this stuff I wanted to get into. But then I saw music appreciation. Music appreciation. I didn't even know what that was. But I knew it had to be bad, whatever it was. Because it was a required class and it was at 8 a.m. in the winter quarter. And I thought, wow. And so I dreaded this thing. And I go to the class, 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's going to be classical music, Baroque. I didn't even know what that meant either. And so I go in there and I'm sitting in there and I've already, closed my mind to what's going to happen. And the professor comes in. This is in 1979. The professor comes in and he's carrying a little table with a record player on it. And he's in a tweed jacket with a bow tie, and he's a short guy, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And he comes in and he sets this table up in the front of the class and with this record player on it, and he has a record already on there. And we're all trying to stay awake, and this is what he says. When I start this record, 3 minutes in, the oboes are going to begin. I want you to listen for them. You've never heard anything like this. 3 minutes in, I'll signal you when the oboes are coming in. I didn't know what an oboe was. Is that a person? What is that? What's an oboe? I'm a criminal justice major. And so he starts the record, the music, and he's really excited. And he's swaying like this. And then you go, like that wasn't the minute. It's not time yet for the oboes. Wait for it. And I find myself going, what is an oboe? What happens when the oboes come in? 2 minutes. He's timing it. 2 minutes. Shh, 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 shh. 3 minutes. There they are. Boom, the oboes come in, and it was kind of beautiful. Is that them? Yes. And I fell in love with the oboe. I, to this day, love oboes. That's one professor. I couldn't wait to get to that class. I am so hooked on, other than Neil Diamond, classical music to this day. That person taught me to love classical music. You know why? Because he loved classical music. That's why. And why do you seem semi-normal? Why do you love this so much? And then I fell in love with it. In the same year, I took political philosophy, which I also wanted to take, and I knew that the political philosophy professor was famous, but I didn't know why. So in the first day of his class, the students are in, and you had to There was a waiting list to get in this guy's class. His name's Nick Pappas. He died a couple of years ago. And he's a former Marine Vietnam veteran that taught political philosophy in the 70s and early 80s on our campus, where ROTC and military recruitment were not allowed on the campus at all those years. And so here's this guy, big guy, he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then he got drafted, went to Vietnam, there's a book written about him, stepped on a landmine that blew up the right side of his body, so he was missing his right ear. He was a big guy, and he walked with a limp. But his class was the most popular class, even among students that weren't in that major. So I had to take it, so I was in there, and the class is packed, and he comes walking in. And he walks into the class, and he comes up to the podium, and he pulls out a thing of chewing tobacco, and he just fills his mouth with chewing tobacco. Political philosophy, Plato, Aristotle. He fills his mouth with chewing tobacco, and he pushes a trash can out with his foot so he can spin in it while he talks. I don't think we can fly today, but that's what happened then. And then he starts to pace back and forth across the room, and every once in a while, he would go, "Rangers, sit! Rangers, sit! Sit! You stay!" And then he'd go off on talking about Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan, the greatest political work ever written. Ranger? And that's how he taught the class. And one day in the class, a woman in the class raised her hand. She goes, "Who is Ranger?" He goes, "That's my dog." And she said, "Can you see Ranger?" It's like, "Why do you think I'm telling him to sit?" And she said, "How come I can't see Ranger?" Which is what we all wanted to ask. He said, "Ranger's not your dog." He goes, "And that is political philosophy." Took us a long time to figure out the depth of that statement, but he was the greatest political philosophy professor I have ever encountered in my entire career. That guy. And students who had no interest in political philosophy would take that class to be in a room with him. I could speak for hours on his teaching style, which was brilliantly thought out, but looked like he just wandered into the room from the vet hospital. Brilliant. Those two kinds of teacher drilled into me the power of one person in a room. And I'm telling you, his political, philosophical standpoint was very counter to the culture of that university. But it didn't matter. Students wanted to listen to him talk because of his brilliance. I never forgot that. Graduated, went into the police department, got recruited out of the police department by the US government to go overseas. And when we were recruited to go overseas, my wife and I went into education as the platform to change foreign policy in the world, education. And we've worked all over the world, always in war zones. So this morning, sitting here and listening to you and your enthusiasm and everything, I remember a faculty meeting we went into to begin the year in Indonesia in 2001. We worked in an international school. The teachers were from the US, Canada, different countries. It was a great school. It was interesting because it's an international school. They also allowed Indonesian students in, which most international schools didn't. But the faculty meeting was because as the school year was starting, the government was collapsing. So imagine COVID year, but there's no military, no police, and no government, and the public was just going crazy. So in 2001, the challenge of the principal of the school was I'm asking you as teachers to not leave the country like every other foreign teacher is doing, and foreign companies are doing. Everyone is fleeing the country because it's just a matter of days before this whole thing collapses and the looting and the burning begin. Because the military is going to withdraw, the police are going to withdraw, everyone's going to withdraw, and we were in a city of 5 million. And this place is going to burn to the ground. I'm asking you to stay through the academic year. Why would you stay? Why would you go through a year like COVID and come back with this kind of enthusiasm? Why? Because of the students. Because of the students. Every school in that city shut down except ours. We agreed to stay, and our kids were in the school. We had 3 kids in the school. We agreed to stay after a lot of deliberation. And so the faculty meetings became, and the government collapsed. And it was, I've never seen anything like that. When there is no law at all, it's gone. You think it's been rough in the US over the last year? Nothing compared to what was happening in that country. So the faculty met every morning. Imagine this meeting. And what we dealt with was fear in the teachers. Fear. How do you take away fear in a person? It's not magic. You can't pretend the situation doesn't exist. It does. It's real. It's terrible. But it doesn't have the power to make us afraid. It doesn't have the power to make us afraid. You have the power to be afraid or not be afraid. But we had to teach the teachers how to do that. Because the very first thing they had to do to the students every day in the classroom was take away the students' fear. How do you do that as a teacher? To take away the students' anxiety, their stress, the trauma that they're living through. How do I, in trauma, take away the trauma of another person? Is it possible? Yes, it is. But it has to begin with the teacher. If the teacher has a process, a capacity to work through their own deepest fear and come out with some level of peace and creativity, there is nothing to stop that student from becoming who they could be. Because the teacher, as was said in the speech, is actually demonstrating a lifestyle of fearlessness. Do you know what shuts down creativity in students? Fear. Do you know what shuts down creativity in teachers? Fear, anxiety, stress, trauma, all the stuff we all have to deal with. But if there's a process that the teacher can go through themselves and with their team, their faculty, and then go into the classroom and teach biology by first taking away fear, teach math by first taking away stress and trauma and anxiety, teach literature by doing that first, those students can excel through anything because no one teaches them that skill. Anyone can teach a subject, and they can teach it well. But to take away a kid's wrong view of himself, the world that they're in, and the future, can you imagine our students' view of the future when the government is gone? And houses are burning down along the streets every day as they're coming to school in our neighborhoods? Can you go in there and teach a kid how to have joy and peace in that? Only if you have joy and peace in that. So how do you do that? How do you do that? I know you all do this. I know you do because you have to deal with these kinds of issues all the time. What if we were experts in it? So we would go with our students, and I taught literature, and I taught history. My wife was the administrator of the elementary school. And so I would think, how do you teach a kid not to be afraid in a scenario like this? And I thought, wow, where have I ever seen it done? So I had this idea. In literature. I'm gonna let them listen to a story. And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna set up the tape recorder, and I'm going to say to them, in 7 minutes, a character is going to enter this story who is filled with joy. I want you to listen to what happens when joy comes into a negative situation. It happens in 7 minutes. Listen, shh, listen. Start the story. Shh, wait. Joy's coming. Shh. The students, it sounds horrible. Shh, it's only minute 3. Shh, listen. Minute 7. There it is, joy. And they learn to listen for joy. Have you ever listened for joy? Or do you only hear the negative? You missed the oboe. You missed it. Do you know what this song would sound like without an oboe? No, I don't. Because you never listen. But you have to learn to listen for it, because the world's going to teach you not to listen for it. Not even to expect it. But a teacher can teach you how to do it. And a teacher can teach you how to not be afraid. And then when I would go in to teach history, high school kids, I would come into the room and they're stressed out. Our neighborhood got looted last night, and they'd be talking about, Ranger, sit! Who are you talking to? My old professor's dog. Can you see the dog? Yes, we can. It's because it's not your dog. And this is the lesson of history. In history, you're not paying attention to what we could have learned because you didn't see it. Because you didn't think it belonged to you. But it didn't matter. It does. Ranger, heal. So I'm excited for the power that you all have. I'm encouraging you not just to have a great year, but can you go deeper yourself? Can you hear joy? Can you hear it when it comes in at minute 7 of the day or hour 3 of a day that's awful? Here it comes. Here it comes. We focused in that year on students. We focused on them understanding identity and the ability to get rid of fear. That's what we focused on. And they're now, all of those students from that year are in their 36-year-olds around the world. I've been to graduations at Stanford with them, at UNLV, at Boston Institute of Art. I've been in master's degree programs, MBA programs, and the woman who now leads that school was the first woman in her village ever to go to high school. And she runs that school with an MBA in business. Not only does she run that school, she runs a company that employs women from her village. Do you know who can do that? You! You do it all the time. I'm saying, can we do it more? Can we do it deeper? Are the French kids, can we bring them in more? I think we can. Listen for joy. Ranger, come! Thank you very much.
Let's give our speakers one more round of applause. As we look to the upcoming year, we are faced with another potential barrier, one that's not unknown to everybody in the room. COVID cases are on the rise. Did you ever think that would happen after last year? However, we successfully navigated this last year, and we will proceed with our plan. As we went through this last year, we quickly realized we need to keep students in school, period. None in this room wants to discuss COVID, masks, distancing, or anything associated with the pandemic. I'm here to simply say we conquered this last year, and we will conquer it again this year. We will keep schools open, we will operate them safely, and we will educate our students. We are all smart adults and capable of making wise and safe decisions without being told to do so. I'm not telling you to do so. No one from the central office is telling you to do so, and if you heard Cameron Sexton from the House the other night, they're not going to tell us to do so. Whether you agree with that or not, we are on our own. Unless I have absolutely no other choice, I will not make a recommendation to the board to mandate masks or close our schools, even temporarily. Please take personal responsibility. Please take personal responsibility using sound logic, prayer, and consultation from your doctor. I support your personal choices, and everybody at the central office supports you as well. I support the choices of our students, our parents, and our students themselves in making those same choices. That's enough of looking in the rearview mirror of what happened last year. Let's focus on what was accomplished. As we encountered the most unique year in education I've been a part of, we excelled in a number of areas, and I'm going to quickly go through some of these summaries with you this morning, not to keep you very long. For CTE, our career and technical education, we more than doubled the goal for industry standards earned. Cherokee High School, 104 credentials earned. Clinch, 36, volunteer, 129. We implemented 2 new work-based learning pathways within our own school system, within the transportation department and technology departments, and both of those students are excelling, and we're looking to expand upon that. District-wide, for all standardized testing, we had a state goal of 80% due to COVID. Our normal percentage rate is 95%. Last year, among everything we encountered, we hit 96.1%. Amidst the pandemic, we had a 94.2% student attendance rate. We saw successful first-year YMCA programs started up in schools that never had opportunities to provide that after-school care for students, and our communities needed it last year more than ever. We saw a meaningful pay raise and opportunities for growth for everyone in this room for the first time in a long time. Students who participated and placed in state and national competitions, both in sports and academic realms, excelled in spite of the pandemic, one of which you heard from this morning. Development and implementation of Hawkins County's first mobile literacy lab was made available through the award of a $17,000 grant to the Governor's Early Literacy Foundation and will be rolling soon. We operated our first system-wide summer school program with over 600 students enrolled at 7 different sites. Health services assisted one another in one of the most successful communication and engagement plans I've ever seen executed. Because of their efforts, we were able to keep our students open and operational for the majority of last year and through summer school. We saw grants totaling over $1.3 million roll in over the course of the year, benefiting all sites in this gym today. Hawkins County became the third system in the state to issue and approve the Donors Choose online fundraising, opening the door for even more donations and support. Multiple teachers and staff awarded opportunities to participate in the state's Grow Your Own program that assists staff and teachers in obtaining their certifications or adding to them, valued at over $61,000 this last year. Even more participants and university partnerships are underway for this next year. Safe School grants totaled over $300,000 were awarded last year. And as I mentioned, the following groups, please stand if you're a member of the group highlighted. Board members. Jackie and Judy are representing the board today. You dealt with constant questioning from parents, community members, and staff who had concerns and suggestions. You dealt with changing recommendations from me and from staff. You weathered the storm, and more importantly, you supported our recommendation hands down, resulting in Hawkins County missing fewer days of in-class instruction than nearly all systems in the region. Thank you for your support. Technology department, the small but mighty group of men and women in this room. This group single-handedly ordered, secured, delivered, installed, and supported all of the technology we needed to have in place spur of the moment last year. And they have supported us over the summer heading toward this year with all the new equipment and programs you will encounter as you get back to your classrooms. Teachers, librarians, and other certified staff, please stand. That's the majority of the room. Every single teacher and certified staff member at every single site throughout Hawkins County went above and beyond this past year. For some in this gym, you stepped out in faith, not knowing much about online learning, planning, and execution. But as Jamie mentioned, you conquered your fears. You not only conquered your fears, but you conquered the fears of the students who are apprehensive about interacting with you in a new and entirely different manner. You not only learned, but you excelled. Others sharpened their tools and skill sets and became resident experts for one another. And that was the most exciting part as I look back on last year. Custodians. We may not have many in this room, but if you are a custodian, please stand. And if they're not, somebody convey our thanks. Thank you for tirelessly working behind the scenes to not only keep everything clean and sanitized, but keeping our schools open, clean, and inviting. Thank you for using non-student time wisely and getting ahead on things that needed attention. Thanks for the painting, the polishing, and detail work you were able to accomplish behind the scenes in spite of the many changes. Thanks for assisting with handing out and delivering meals and everything else you did that's not part of your official job description. Your help did not go unnoticed. Principals and assistant principals. Sharon handed out Taco Bell gift certificates before the event. The biggest accomplishment from this group was one of leadership. These folks worked tirelessly, meeting with me and the central office staff via Zoom, in-person meetings, and over the phone as we reacted to data coming in last year. a number of quarantines, and we dealt with closures. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Maintenance department. Anybody from the maintenance department, please stand and be recognized. This group oversaw and worked tirelessly to completely overhaul the HVAC systems at both Cherokee High School and Volunteer High School, of which that work is still occurring, over the shortened summer. And if you think about the hurdles they had to go through in order just to schedule that work, it's nothing short of amazing. Multiple paving and construction projects were also accomplished in spite of the pandemic. In fact, I can't say enough about this group for the amount of work they undertook in extreme circumstances. Thank you again. Bus drivers. I know there's some double dippers in the room. We've got teachers that drive, we've got other people that do other things, but driving is no short of an amazing feat in Hawkins County. Think Grassy Creek Road. Think War Valley. Browns Mountain. Thanks, Judy. Yeah. Some of us are leery to take our passenger cars down those roads. But they take a 30-foot, 32-foot bus, 34-foot bus down those roads with kids in the back, and we entrust them each and every day to safely get them to and from their home, and they do so, and they do it consistently, even through the pandemic. So thank you very much. Student nutrition staff. Anybody from central office nutrition or any site nutritional staff, please stand. Seeing you all on the curbsides and driveways, and in some cases making special deliveries last year, was amazing and reminded me what service and dedication in action really means. These actions allowed Hawkins County Schools to serve 979,977 student meals during the course of last school year. I needed to joke with Mandy and tell her she was about 20,000 short of hitting $1 million, and I felt that was a worthy goal for this next year. She about smacked me. No short of amazing. Nothing short of amazing. Central office staff, please stand. These system leaders are here to support you, and you've heard me say that for the last 3 school years. They demonstrated that over and over and over again last year. No additional evidence of this is needed based on the countless hours and efforts this group demonstrated during the course of the year. From the late night calls and the Spawned app replies, the constant meetings, looking at data and working with each site, thanks to a special team of dedicated individuals that are here for the right reasons. In closing, I have 2 things to offer you this morning. And I too had to follow Eliza and Jamie in my speech this morning, so bear with me. I want us to make or consider making 2 commitments this year. Commit to these 2 challenges only if you are truly going to commit. Commit only if you see the lasting value of what I'm going to challenge you with. Number 1, commit to looking forward. Too often we look back and spend too much time regretting what we should have done, how we could have handled situations. Rear view mirrors in our cars are to be used for periodic checks, not for overall driving. Let's look through the windshield of Hawkins County Schools and look toward what we need to do. Our data just came out. We saw overall drops across the board, but thankfully, due to every single person in this room, we saw fewer drops and less significant drops than those who relied solely or largely on distance learning and didn't do what was needed to get kids back into school. We all know what we need to do. We will look in our rearview mirrors periodically and consistently this year as a check and as a check only, focusing on moving forward. Kindergarten through 5th, this means regular 4.5-week progress assessments, short, to the point assessments on data, on standards taught, and adjustments instructionally following those 4.5-week assessments, checking to make sure we have our students truly with us and heading toward mastery of those standards. Grades 6 through 8, same type of format, aimed at helping us regroup, reteach, or challenge and move on, depending upon what the assessment data teaches us. High school, for all EOC courses, we will assess skills and standards taught regularly, allowing us time to adjust pacing and our lessons to truly make sure all students are making progress prior to the end of a quarter, the end of a semester, and especially the end of the year. That's challenge number 1. Number 2, directly relevant to our 2 guest speakers this morning. I challenge each of us in this gym this morning to identify 3 to 4 students in our care to connect with personally starting Monday. Stay in regular daily contact with these students in a professional manner, of course. Let them know you care. Let them know that you will be there for them if and when needed. Get to know their interests, their likes, their talents, and what bothers them. Drop them appropriate notes of encouragement. Remind them of their purpose and their potential. Push them, support them, and more importantly, talk to them. The single most effective way to increase student engagement is to engage the students. If each of us rises to this challenge, we will reach up to 2/3 of our student body personally. Imagine what we can do when students are committed to learning and to your guidance because you are demonstrating commitment to them. I'm not going to ask you to stand. I'm not going to have an altar call. I'm not going to ask for raised hands. I want you to consider taking on those 2 commitments. Just consider, seriously consider. And I leave you with a quote this morning. John Wooden, I know he's from the West Coast, but just bear with me. You can never make up for a lost day. Don't think you can make up for it by working twice as hard tomorrow. If you have it within your power to work twice as hard, why aren't you going to do it now? Thank you and have a great year.
I need a stool. Okay, I know you've been here just for a little bit, and I'm not going to take the rest of your time. I'm going to speak quick. They asked if I would speak and let you know of the Denim for Scholars scholarship winners this year. It's a little loud. So I'll start with that. My name is Gwen Kersey. I'm president of Hawkins County Education Association. And you would like more information about that. There's probably not one, there might be one person in here who doesn't know how to get in touch with me, but most everybody does. Back to the Denim for Scholars. We collect money, $2 to wear denim 4 days out of the year. 3 of those days, and they're usually on a Friday or a full day before a half-day Friday. And you pay $2 to wear denim, And all of that money goes to a fund for us to fund scholarships for each 3 of our high schools. One scholarship, $1,000 scholarship for each of our seniors. And this past year, we collected a total of $1,953.35. For Cherokee, our winner was Jacob Kenner. He will be attending the Georgia Institute of Technology to study aerospace engineering, and he'll specialize in propulsion engineering. He said he's excited about taking part in future research and various internship opportunities there. From Clinch, we have Dalton Seals. His goal is to attend Lincoln Memorial University to pursue a degree in pediatrics. From Volunteer, we have Sarah Gauntz. She plans to attend East Tennessee State University to major in political science and pursue a degree in law. So thank you for your donations. You don't have to give just at those denim days. You can give anytime. We'll take money all throughout the year. Thank you. I hope you all have a great year.
your calendars right now. And don't forget the pencils, don't forget the paper, don't forget your coffee today. Here we are, the school year will be fun and bright. Summer is now over, you know we are right. Get those lesson plans and calendars right now. And don't forget the pencils, don't forget the paper, don't forget your coffee today. Hawkins County Schools is the place to be on the last bright sunny summer day. Kids will soon be asking you what day it is. What's my homework due today? May I use the bathroom? Is my Chromebook charged? When will it be playtime? Is it time for lunch? Ready for the school year, it has just begun. So welcome to excitement, welcome to the stressful, welcome back to fun teacher life.
Okay, best for last, and Mr. Gibson, we didn't know you had that kind of talent. Okay, just to let you know, make sure you pick up your door prizes. I think the names were scrolling earlier, and I think Vivian McGee, you have a door prize here with Mr. Hickson from First Community Bank. And we've got food trucks available, so I hope you're hungry. That way you don't have to wait in long lines. We have Big H Barbecue, the best barbecue in town. We have Gato's Tacos, Auntie Ruth's Donuts, and uptown I thought it was cheesecake, but it's not, it's cheese steak. So please, please visit the food trucks, and aloha and have a great year.